Hey guys, welcome back to Stickley Creations. Thank you for everyone who watched my last video. If you haven't watched it, please check it out. And yeah, so today what I want to do, I pretty much just want to talk to you guys about the two books that I've written. I realized I never really went too much in detail, if at all, about the books. And I know I should probably do that if I'm promoting it, right? So I pretty much wanted to do this as I have my third book coming out soon. And I'll show you guys more about that in another video. But in the meantime, before that one comes out, I would love to just share the books that I've currently written. So the first book that I wrote is called Reunited After the Storm. I wrote this, I guess I published it. Let's see, I published it summer of 22, so June 2022. I wrote it right after graduating high school back in 21 during that summer. I figured, you know what? I want to write a book. Like, obviously, I've wanted to write a book for a while, but I was like, all right, so you're 19 years old. Right now, you're planning on not writing a book until you're about 21, being out of college. Why? Just why are you waiting? And I didn't really have too much to do that summer, anyways. I was actually like the first summer that I had a lot of free time for once. So I figured, just go and start. You don't really know what you're doing. Like, why wait when you're gonna have to learn anyways? So I figured, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and write it, watch some YouTube videos, figure out how to get an artist, figure out how to size the book, list it on Amazon, things like that. So yeah, that came out with Reunited After the Storm. So this book is loosely based on my own story of my adoption from Haiti. I was adopted back in 2010 during an earthquake that some of you guys may know about. That said, the story talks about two friends who were in the same orphanage together, and when they came to the US, they were split. Um, so yeah, it really just is a story about a good friendship of two friends being split up during a rough period. Uh, Now, in the book, I have it related towards basketball because I like basketball at the end of the day. But I think from the first book, I was like, I think people are going to identify more with basketball than anything else. But when I was back in the orphanage, we played soccer all the time. We were always barefoot. I still remember how the rocks felt. Truly, it didn't hurt at the time. That's just like what you're used to. Even when I got back, or even when I came to the US, I was still running barefoot half the time. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's truly interesting to me, like just how different things were when I got here, and just like recollecting on everything now. But in the story, it's basketball, but in reality, I played soccer. Now, in the story, you also have two friends going off their separate ways, and they don't end up finding each other until a couple years later, like a long time. But the real story, I was simply adopted into one state, which was Virginia for me. My friend was adopted into another state not too far. And our parents were kind enough to make it a priority for us to see each other very early on in the process. We got to meet each other's families, and that was really, it was just so cool to get to do that. I remember, I think we had gone to a space museum, I want to say. And yeah, so I got to meet his brothers and his sister. It was just such a great opportunity to get to meet each other's families. And even now, we're still in touch with one another. He has a website on his own that he's built out with a friend, and he's actually listed my book on his website. It's essentially his business is a online vendor web shop, and com- small businesses come to him and they list the business on his site. That's pretty much what he does. He manages some like marketing and things of that nature as well. I don't know entirely like everything about it, but it's really cool. He was able to list my books on his website as well. But yeah, I guess I'm getting away a little bit away from the book itself. But when I first was writing this book, obviously I needed to figure out, okay, how am I going to get a illustrator? Now, like everyone else, you probably learned about KDP. And I was watching some YouTube videos on KDP, and it mentioned Fiverr. So I was like, all right, bet. I'm going to go ahead and go to Fiverr, find an illustrator. And I think originally I was just going through the list of illustrators. And then at some point or another, I had the bright idea of, all right, I'm going to make this like request. And my request was essentially, hey, I need a sample of X. And a bunch of people responded, some graphic designers, some illustrators. I was not really looking for a graphic designer. That's something that you're going to learn about using Fiverr. You'll get requests answered that are not relevant all the time. I strictly said illustrator. That was a bit annoying. But at the end of the day, I ended up getting an illustrator that was from Argentina. She was amazing. Obviously, there was a time difference and everything, but I just liked working with someone that was outside of the country. And yeah, it was just so cool to learn and see their like creative style and everything. And just, it was an interesting communication process. And I think that was like very important for me. And yeah, so after I had gotten Illustrator, I obviously told her everything that I pretty much wanted in the book. And then after that, it really just came time for, I guess, finding someone to really organize the book, like piece it all together. At the time, like I was just so young in it. I needed someone to essentially format the book. And oh my God, you can just tell the difference between the first and the second book so easily. But piece of advice, if you're going to write a book, um, this is cool, right? This is cool. But do you see how empty all this is with the white and everything? Now, mind you, I was on a budget, to be fair, but just so much white, empty spaces. Now, this page was my favorite page here, a spread. But the point is, definitely keep in mind the format of your book and try not to have too much white space, obviously. But yeah, so I guess as I'm going away and running my mouth, this book, regardless of what people will think of it, it truly is meaningful towards me because it's loosely related on my own story. And since I've published it, I've been able to go to my high school as well as my elementary school and read the books. And that was just such a great experience. That's something that I've always wanted to do. Is just, I remember we always had authors visiting our school, and that was just something that I was like, wow, like how cool is it that you get to write something and share it and read it to like people younger than you. So to be able to go back at 19 years old and read to my high school, read to my elementary school, that was an amazing experience. I had one of my teachers, she was doing a graduate class, and she actually ended up using my second book for a research. And that was really cool to hear as well. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, you just never know what's gonna come from publishing your books, and that's why I say just do it, because you're gonna learn at the end of the day. And that I did, because 6 months down the road, I published my second one. Many people would not do that. It just depends. Like I get it. Some people spend 2 years to publish a book, 1 year. Like it's just different for everyone. But after writing the first one, man, I was just like, oh, wow, this is what I messed up on. This is what I want to do better. And this is the story that I have. And I was working for Virginia Beach Parks and Rec at the time. And I was working with kids, and I'm around kids more and more, and I'm hearing their stories, and I'm like talking with them about stuff that they've got going on. I have kids crying, I have kids being happy and stuff. So I'm seeing all these different emotions, like what I want to put in the book. So I was like, okay, like this is how I want to help. So I ended up writing the second one called Willie's Worries and Exercises to Conquer Them. So this book is essentially about a kid that moves to a different school. He's suffering with anxiety. It's his first day at the school. He essentially has this worry worm on his shoulder that's telling him bad thoughts and everything negative that is just going to make him overthink or feel left out, any sort of possibility. Later on in the book, you're introduced to a friend, two friends rather. One of them is called Happy Hair. Happy Hair sits on the other shoulder, reassuring Willie and just basically giving affirmations, telling him that everything's going to be okay. And yes, it's essentially just a therapeutic book for kids dealing with anxiety. It has exercises and affirmations in the back of the book. This was very important to me. As I said, just being around kids at the time, I got to witness so many different emotions, and every kid that I was teaching just had different ways of learning, different ways of coping. So I had to try to learn different exercises to put in them. Yeah, that was such a great experience. But something about that within the book, when you have happy hair and worry worm, the epitome of anxiety and positivity, if you want to call it, I had them both stay in the book, like when the other was introduced, because I really wanted to send a message that anxiety is not something that is just something that is connotatively bad necessarily. I don't want people to feel like they're some monster, they're bad or whatever just for having anxiety. And I definitely don't want to teach that to no. Anxiety is something that's normal. It's something that I've had in the past. It's something that a lot of my friends have had. And I'm trying to make it very clear too that sometimes anxiety is there in a way to protect you. It's there to signal, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat this. Oh, maybe I should walk this way. There's just so many different things. And I think that anxiety is sometimes hidden as well. You can have anxiety and you're happiest at times. Everyone's, oh, you're so happy. No, like not every, that's not how that works all the time. And you can't really judge someone for that. Like I get it. It's hard to see that. Yeah, that was definitely just something that I wanted to put out there. And I'm glad that some people were able to catch it too. Really like that. But yeah, so let's get into the book. I'll show you guys some pictures and things. So as I said, you have Worry Worm right here. And I really liked these illustrations and just the colors. This illustrator was from the Philippines. She was amazing to work with. I'm working with her on the third book. So yeah, colors were just done really well. This was a bit annoying to format. I'll tell you guys about that in a bit. Yeah, here's happy hair. Like I said, in the back of the book, you have exercises. I'm not going to keep the page up too long just so you guys don't steal it. But you have a table here that you essentially work with the parents to just tell you guys about your kid's day, how they're feeling, and different activities, family, school, on the playground, sports, as well as the creative arts, music. You have the breathing exercises here. So if you guys aren't familiar with the triangle, that's the breathing exercise here. We essentially breathe in for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds, and triangle. So you breathe in, breathe out, obviously be 3 seconds. So it was really fun to find out about a lot of these different exercises and everything too. Cause I'm someone that likes psychology. Like at a time I wanted to possibly go into psychology and become a therapist. So it was just so cool to try to use the information that I'd learned across different classes and to do my research into different activities and things to put into the book and incorporate. So that was really cool. But yeah, so I don't know. I like you can definitely see there's a difference between the first and the second book. The first book will obviously always have a place in my heart because it's so meaningful to my story, but also it was the first book I published. But man, the second one, just that jump in 6 months was so inspirational for me that I just wanted to keep making more and more. And I think it brought on the inspiration for me to teach others how to do it as well. Because if I can grow that much in 6 months at 19 years old, imagine what other people can do. And there's just so many great stories that I know are in authors' heads that need to be shared. I know everyone's, man, what if they don't like it? It's going to suck. I don't know how I'm going to sell all this. Oh, it's your story. It's your story. And your story is always worth hearing. There's no reason why anyone wouldn't want to listen to your story. Like, you're an amazing human being. You have amazing ideas. Just share your story, learn, grow. That's really all I'm trying to do here on this channel. But yeah, I know I've taken up some of you guys' times, but thanks for watching. In my next video, we'll see. I was going to say I might go into my third book, but I think I'll wait till that comes out for you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching Stickley Creations and see you guys next time.